How did you get into photography? Was that something that you always wanted to do?
It really all began like way back in the beginning. I was one of those kids that toted around a little disposable camera, like the Kodak ones that you bring to like CVS, Walgreens.
How did you get that camera? Do you remember how you
Oh
first got it?
wow! I want to say the first time it was put in my hands was like my grandma.
When did you come to the point where you thought, hey, this is what I want to do for a living?
It was a really important step that was like a different.
On this episode of the Good Look Podcast, I want to introduce you to a friend and mentor of mine by the name of Carrie Allen. She is a successful photographer here in Charlotte, North Carolina. She owns her own studio. It's called the Daylight Room. She has taken her business from scratch to six figures. She's been published in Forbes and many other magazines, and she is known as a brand photographer, and she also specializes in headshot photography. And today you're going to learn all about how she got started and how she got to where she is now, and the advice that she would give to someone like you that is just getting started. So I want to welcome Carrie Allen here to the Good Look Podcast. Carrie, thank you so much for showing up.
Thank you for having me. It's always good to see you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for everything. How did you get into photography? Was that something that you always wanted to do, or like just how did it all start?
Yeah, I'm going to be throwing a lot of cliches at you today, but the first one is that photography got into me. I didn't really get into photography. It just, it really all began like way back in the beginning. I was one of those kids that toted around a little disposable camera, like the Kodak ones that you bring to like CVS, Walgreens.
Yeah.
So I brought that with me everywhere. Like middle schooler, bringing it to school on school field trips, bringing it out like on the weekends, at home, like taking pictures of my cats, whatever. And I had a scrapbook, and I just couldn't stop scrapbooking.
Yeah.
And so,
how did you get that camera? Do you remember how you first got it?
Oh wow! I want to say the first time it was put in my hands was like my grandma. She used to take us on trips to like, oh gosh, we went to like California and like Disney and all over like New England. Like they took us everywhere that we saw as kids. And she just loved pictures herself. And I've never been asked this. I've never even thought about like that moment that that a camera was first in my hand. But yeah, my grandma, she gave me some disposable cameras, and she was like a Polaroid camera person herself. And
wow.
Even now when I visit her, she lives in Winston-Salem, so anytime we go, she brings out like this big old box, and there's probably boxes like this, but they're just filled with Polaroids.
Wow.
And there's nothing like just holding a crisp Polaroid in your hands, and like nothing's changed about that photo since it came out of the machine 20, 30 years ago. And just like a piece of history in your hands, and that's something we don't really have anymore to that extent. But that ignited my love of photography. And I've never thought about that before.
So about how old do you think you were around that time?
I was probably third grade.
Third grade. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you started off with Polaroids too, which is very different, like you said, than what we deal with today. After you got that first camera, when did you come to the point where you thought, hey, this is what I want to do for a living?
Oh, wow. A lot happened in between there.
Okay.
My photo journey was everything from scrapbooking to, I don't know if you remember, like Nikon Coolpix was like a whole era. Like, like the first point and shoot digital cameras.
Okay, yeah.
They were like clunky. They were like bricks. You took them everywhere. They didn't quite fit in your pockets, but we brought them anyway. So that was like the next step up. When I got the point and shoot cameras. I say cameras because I really beat them up. I had like a blue one, then a red one, then a silver one.
Yeah.
Like I kept getting the new stuff,
Yeah.
but I can remember with each camera that I upgraded to, there was a whole nother era that was set in motion about what photography meant to me. So it started out with scrapbooking, and then it became something like, okay, let's think about what's in the frame now. Let's not just snap, snap, turn,
Yeah.
but let's actually pose people. So looking back now, it was super cringe. I would like just take my friends, it sounds creepy, but I would take my friends out to the woods and we would just take portraits, and I'd have like their hair styled and their clothing done. I don't know why no one else was doing this. And like, we didn't have MySpace yet or whatever, but like at some point, it would be something that I just did at sleepovers or with friends, and I would just see who could pose for me, like who would let me just take their picture.
Okay. Was giving direction at that time, like how you wanted them to pose, was that like just natural?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was not good, but it was natural. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that is dope. That is so dope. So you started taking pictures of friends, and then do you remember like when you got your first actual like paid job?
Yeah. So before I got the paid job, there was a stepping stone along the way where I got really serious. I had my first DSLR, and I started learning settings. My dad made me read the manual front and back. But that led to doing work for other people. It wasn't paid for a while, but it was a really important step that was like a different era, a different way of looking at photography, a different role in my life, was just when I was doing it for other people. It was more serious that way. So when I went to college, I went out to Colorado College in Colorado Springs. So I was working at like a little deli, and they asked me to help them put together a takeout menu. So I learned Photoshop. I took photos. That was my first like brand photo session. So I would make the sandwiches because I was like a deli chef, whatever. And I'd make the sandwiches, take the picture, bicycle home, and then open up Photoshop for the first time and put it all together in a little takeout menu. And that was my first time doing something that I now have developed into, my own workflow. But that was my first taste of it. At the same time, I was doing stuff for the college and communications department. So like things for their websites, or if we had a guest speaker, I would do it. And that was as an internship. So almost paid, right?
Almost
like,
there.
Paid with exposure.
Almost there. Yeah.
Paid by experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
And then the very first thing I was ever paid for was while I was in college. Like during this time, I had a friend down the hall from me in my dorm ask if I would take photos of her and her boyfriend. And at the end, she gave me a $20 bill. And that was the very first time I accepted money for photography.
Was it like hey, it's going to be $20? Or was it just like, hey, Carrie, thank you so much. Here's $20?
It was, I remember obsessing over, like, what do I do? Like, Googling, like what's okay to charge. And at the end of the day, it didn't feel right because I was actually inexperienced in anything like that resembled a client shoot or a portrait client shoot. So it was free, and there was never any expectation of money. And so at the end, it was just kind of a surprise, just a little tip.
Yeah. Did that, I don't know, did that change your mind on getting paid afterwards, or not really?
Yeah, I think when I looked at all the time that I spent like nervous about the shoot and actually shooting with them around, we did it on my college campus, so shooting with them for like hours, because it took a long time back then to get a good shot. So all the time editing, like when I looked at all that in retrospect right after that shoot, I thought, well, $20 is basically nothing. I know that my time can be worth more. So I had that little inkling in the back of my head. Were the photos actually worth anything, like, to them, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I should have gotten paid more for that, but it did ignite something in me where I thought, okay, I could be I should be compensated for this kind of time, future Carrie with
Yeah.
more experience.
No, I got you. I got you. That is uh sometimes that can be a hurdle for most. You need to check it out.
No, it's
Okay.
either in.
Yeah, sometimes I think that can really be a hurdle for most is figuring out exactly what to charge. And I think um there can be like a science to that. But there also is like a freedom to that as well, as like knowing what you're worth and choosing what you're
Mm.
worth. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Um, what would you say to maybe a uh or Carrie? I don't know how long ago that was, but what would you say to your old self
Mhm.
before you actually started to get paid? Um, about charging others? Like, what advice would you give yourself now?
My advice would be just that there's there's two stages in your photography journey. The first stage is portfolio building,
Yeah.
and your payment should just be an experience.
Mm,
You shouldn't collect any money until you're a professional.
yeah.
And you'll know. And you'll know when it's time to flip the switch, head into stage two, and start charging. And at that point, charge full professional rates. So that's what I would tell my younger self and to anyone starting out is you're charging all or nothing. And if you're going to charge an in between, it should come as on the invoice, you know, $1,000 per hour or per shoot or whatever that big number that you're chasing is, um, minus 75% as a discount, because you should always show the value of it from the gate, from the moment you open your business doors. It should be full price. And if you're not there yet, don't open your business. It should just be grow your portfolio.
Totally agree with you. What taught you that, or who taught you that?
Um, oh wow. Um, I don't know. I guess that just
Was there ever an experience that you had where that kind of enforced that within you?
yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's hard to pinpoint one. That's
Okay.
where the trouble is,
Yeah.
because a lot of my you should or shouldn't, like all my rules that I have unspoken for what a beginner should do, comes not only from my experience, but from just being involved in photography groups online
Okay.
and seeing all the horror stories
Mm,
of people just very excited to share their work and that they were paid, $30 for it. And then just reading through the comments and seeing that that's rejected by the industry. Like, it doesn't help the industry,
facts.
which we all should take care of. If you're going to charge, if you're going to charge anything, charge profitable rates. Otherwise, you're teaching clients who don't know what photography costs that it costs $30,
Mhm.
because that they have, a lot of people just don't know, and they approach any photographer, whether they're an insecure one or a secure one that's been doing it for 10 years, and they find out, oh, it's going to cost $50. Well, that's what it costs for me. You're teaching clients to be bad clients.
Yes.
So, to protect the industry is one thing, and to protect your brand is another thing.
Yes.
You don't want to charge unprofitable prices out the gate, because it's hard to recover from that as a brand.
Yes, it is.
Um, it may take many years of undoing not only the psychological restraints you've put on yourself, like I'm not worth X amount,
Mhm.
but it can also take a lot of time to undo what you've taught your clients and your audience about your own prices. I mean, what if you approach someone for photography one year and they're charging 150 for a shoot, and then the next year they want 1500 for a shoot? You're going to have a lot of questions. You want to see the value, and they're going to have to prove themselves more. Whereas if they had just taken that year that they made that big leap and instead done all of that for free
Mm,
and just built that portfolio, they wouldn't have to defend themselves
yeah.
when they came out the gate like, I'm ready to charge, I'm in business. They never would have to justify any kind of raise in prices.
I totally agree. Would you have you ever invested in mentorship along your way? You mentioned like photography groups.
Mhm.
Have you ever invested in mentorship along your journey? And if so, do you feel that help propel your career in any way?
I definitely had mentors, and it definitely propelled my career. Wouldn't be where I am at all today without the mentors in my life. But I didn't pay for them.
Mm,
I sought them out on Facebook and Facebook groups. It was a group called Photography for Beginners, massive group, thousands of people, and we just shared things on prompts. And you know, after being really active in a group, you start to see the same faces come up. You start to make some organic friendships that way. And at one point, we just had a group chat.
yeah,
So all of the most active people that I would call intermediate in the beginners group were just trying things and challenging ourselves. And we kind of branched off into a really focused group where
yeah.
we would actively push each other to try flash, try this and that. But we were kind of beginners teaching beginners.
I got
So,
you.
they were absolutely mentors because I had something to learn from them. And at times they had something to learn from me. So we were learning together. It's like a little group study, and YouTube was our professor, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think mentorship is it's it's everywhere, you know what I mean? Like you can get it for free nowadays, like you said on
Yeah.
YouTube. Um, but there is nothing like spending like one-on-one time with someone, I think, in my opinion, and really gleaning from them and being able to ask questions live while you're on set, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? It really helps you to just grow faster in my experience. Have you ever thought about, or are you currently mentoring anyone within the photography space?
I have mentored one on one like that. That was really exciting, really fulfilling for me, and I was very focused on her growth.
Yeah,
She reached out to me. She was someone active in a group and saw that I answered a lot of the questions that she had, and she said, "I want to learn from you." So we set up the mentorship, and I set up a session that would draw in her target audience, and we just kind of made her dream shoot happen, and we shot alongside each other, and I gave her pointers the whole way, and I taught her almost in like a classroom setting, like at the studio I was using at the time. We just like took notes on what you should charge, what you should, this and that. And so if I had something like that, that could have propelled me so much more.
mm,
I believe in mentorship. I absolutely believe that that's worth investing in. And you don't have to fiddle around on Facebook until you find people that may or may not teach you something. I got lucky that way.
yeah,
Um, but you can really make your own luck by investing in an amazing mentor.
yeah. I agree. I think like just knowing you, you have mentored me in a lot of ways, and you might not know it, but just your work ethic. Every time I meet with you, I feel like you always give me some kind of insight or help me to think differently than I have been. And just knowing you the little bit that I have known you, um, you are a doer, right? So like you were on Facebook, finding things out, like you're just that type of
Mm.
person. And I think there's power in that, but not everybody has that same work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, you shouldn't be ashamed to actually like seek out that mentorship.
Yeah.
And have you ever thought about like continuing that or like starting your own mentorship program? Or is
Yeah.
that maybe later in the future when you
Yeah.
retire or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely the answer to it. When my photography business slows down, if and when, um, I would love to switch over to a more teaching mentor role. I would love to offer, classes online. One-on-one is where I really get fulfilled.
Yeah.
So I don't know what capacity it will be, and I think life is just gonna unfold in the order it's supposed to for me. Um, I just keep opening doors as they come in front of my face, and that door hasn't come right in front of my face yet. But when it does, I'm gonna open it. Um,
That's cool.
yeah, just take life as it comes. I mean,
Yeah.
that's exactly why I am where I am. Um, Everything has happened in in a way that's totally unexpected,
Mm.
and at times really not what I wished for. But everything's happened perfectly.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. I look forward to those days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to I guess go in a different direction, another segue is let's go back and just talk a little bit about your work. Um I know that you've been published in several different magazines. You started out with uh your Polaroid camera, and you've grown to a six-figure photography business. You're well known here in Charlotte. Is there any part of your career where you felt like it, this job or this specific thing really propelled my career or took me to another level? Or was it just over time?
Um, I would say what really took my business to the next level, purely from a financial standpoint, like what filled my books, was SEO.
Mm,
That was, if anyone is struggling, and comes to me, I'm going to tell them the key that worked for me. And I think it could work for anyone willing to put in the work or hire the right person. But SEO was the answer. And that just means Google search engine optimization. And Google's changing so dramatically year after year, especially now. I think it's probably like an exponential amount of changes at this point where we are with AI generating a lot of our search results and stuff. So the way that people optimize their sites now looks different from the way I did it back then. Because I really put in all this work back in like 2018.
okay.
That's when I moved from Colorado back to Charlotte, where I was born, and and kind of had to start over. Actually, I had to completely start over. So I had, I went from like 12 clients to like zero.
Yeah.
So I had, very little clients ever, but then zero. And that turning point was absolutely putting in the work because I had so much downtime on my marketing, which at the time was Google, and working on my website and making sure I appear on Google by making blogs and putting in the keyword research that I had to do, and optimizing everything from the back end, the meta tags on my photos, and just obsessively checking where I rank, and checking out the competition, and just making sure that people can find me.
When it came to SEO,
Hmm.
was that something that you just looked into yourself and figured out?
Yep.
What was that process like, and did it take you a long time?
Yes. Took a long time. The process was, most people would say, not fun. And
Mm,
if I sat down and told you step by step what to do, your eyes would glaze over and you'd say, how much does it cost to have someone else do it? So you just kind of have to be not the right kind of person. You have to be the kind of person stubborn enough to want to know the ins and outs of their own website.
mm.
And if you're not that person, hire SEO, but hire someone who specializes in it. But as far as what it looked like for me, it was watching a lot of YouTube videos, like Googling a lot of articles, and putting into place these little step-by-step things. And everything that you learn, you have 10 more things to learn. So on page one of like how to appear on a search engine on Google, how to rank on Google, I would actually just find out 10 more things to look up, like what's a meta tag, what's a meta title, what is what's a long, what is it, long tail keyword,
Mhm.
like what are all of these things. So if you have the determination, everything can be figured out. SEO is just like that. It took a long time.
Yeah. It is definitely uh something that I feel like can take a lot of time, but it's an investment, you know? My next question is about niche.
Hmm.
Um, what is your niche, and how long did it take you to figure out that that was what you wanted to focus on?
I love that question. My niche is headshots and brand photography. Um, that took uh, maybe four years or so into my business to know that that's what I wanted to specialize in. But can I tell you how I got
I
into
would
it?
love to know.
Okay. So, I started out just like every other photographer that I knew, doing portraits, which is a really vague term for anything you'll get paid for. So like families, couples, like graduation shoots, just anything personal that's not for business. And that just didn't work for me. It wasn't paying the bills. I wasn't attracting those customers. It seemed oversaturated. Looking back, it just wasn't a match for my frequency. It wasn't meant to manifest for me. Um, I don't believe in oversaturation, but it was that door never came in front of my face to open. So, what actually happened was pretty clandestine. Um, I just had like a personal Instagram where I shared my photos that I thought were really great at the time of my son, who was around 1 year old at this point in 2016.
Okay.
And he was modeling photos from small shops that I traded with photography for their clothing and cool little gifts and stuff. And I was just posting those photos on my Instagram. And out of the blue, I had someone reach out to me from a company called Main Street Hub. And they're kind of like, I think now they're owned by like Uber or something. But they're basically this middleman between small businesses and freelancers, and they just used freelance photographers photos and incorporate it in their marketing that they offer their clients.
Okay.
So Main Street Hub was looking for freelancers, and they asked if it was something I'd be interested in. I felt really special by that. I had no indication that I could do that kind of work on my Instagram, but they saw my photos of my son and thought I would be a great photographer in general, and I accepted. And so, without knowing anything about shooting for small businesses or knowing what that entailed, I said yes, sign me up. That door came in front of my face and I opened it.
Yeah.
And what happened next was I was thrust into the world of commercial photography, solo, mind you. I would show up representing Main Street Hub, and I would have no one to assist with. And so I learned on the job.
Yeah.
I would have a shot list, and it was really vague. It was the same for every single company.
Yeah.
And it was like photos outside, photos inside, headshot of the key people, the team, a group photo, in action photos, show their business in action, show them with their customers, stage this,
Yeah.
candid that. And so it was a really full scope brand shoot in like a whirlwind, like hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I did that dozens of times, to the point where I had shot like every kind of business, salons, IV hydration, bowling alley, restaurant, like pet shop. That auto shop was the very first one I ever did, a paddleboard company. So I was shooting absolutely everything, every kind of headshot,
Yeah.
natural light, bring my own, artificial lighting. And at that point, I had this really big breadth of experience.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm actually not a portrait photographer. Like, I'm not a lifestyle photographer. I'm a brand photographer. And that word was kind of not in the world's vernacular at that point. It was not in the zeitgeist, but now brand photographers are we all know what that is. A lot of people want to be them, and it's something that people strive for, and it's a really high in demand job, but there's a lot of them now. But at the time, brand photography was kind of like a little subset of like, what people think of as a commercial photographer.
Mm.
And I was really good at this specialty that was not oversaturated. And so I got my foot in the door early in the game. Um, and that was 2016, 2017 that I first started doing all of that portfolio work. So I built my portfolio. I was getting paid nothing for it whatsoever. I was really good at it and I really enjoyed it, especially the headshots. And so at that point, when we moved from Colorado back to Charlotte, I thought, now's a really good time to decide what the heck I want to do.
Yeah.
So am I going to do this? And I think I was like on the plane, like, where you're alone with your thoughts on a plane without any kind of like social media to distract you. So I actually sat there and like journaled. And I was like, I've never like thought, what am I going to do with my life? And I sat there and I wrote out like a 5-year plan. And just seeing like pen to paper or, digital pen to tablet is what I was doing.
Yeah.
Just like seeing my plan laid out, I just didn't see how lifestyle, portraits, weddings, or anything like that fit into what I wanted to do. So that's when I made the clear decision to just specialize in headshots and branding, because that's what I knew, what I was good at, where the market wanted me. And that's where I took a leap of faith to say, maybe that's where the money is too. So I had not been getting paid for it, but I thought, gosh, what I'm doing for these clients, that's got to be worth 10x what I'm getting paid from Main Street Hub to do.
Oh.
So I literally took that 10x model. Like that would be outrageous, right? If I was getting paid $150 per shoot. If I charge $1,500 for this, that'll show the world. That'll show them what my worth is, and myself. That'll show myself. And it did.
Yeah.
And I had clients at that rate. And once I hit that goal, it felt like I could do anything. And I can do anything. And I found out that I can. And so now, I mean, if I set any goal, I get there.
When you made that decision to become a brand photographer, did it scare you at the time?
Yeah. Yeah. What a good question. A lot of the best things I've ever done, probably every single best thing I've ever done, has scared me at the time. As far as deciding whether or not to embark on something, whether to say yes or to say no, I've learned that you really have to like not look at anything, but just like feel into your gut. Am I feeling anxiety because I'm excited that I might succeed, that this might be really good for me? Am I scared because it's going to draw attention? Is it's going to be different? Or am I feeling like I'm not called to it? It's going to bring my energy down. I'm not a match for that frequency. And if it's anxiety jitters, and like that gut feeling is that clenching feeling, it comes from a fear of failure and not necessarily a fear of, do I vibe with that? But you see what I'm saying? There's a nuance.
Yes.
You're going to be scared, whether it's a good or bad thing for you.
Yes.
If it scares you, it shouldn't be something that you don't do.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it scared.
Yeah, I think you should do it scared. I've been in those situations where something was even good. It presented a good opportunity. But in my gut, I knew like, this isn't what I'm supposed to do. And saying no sometimes can be a scary thing too.
Yeah.
Just to circle back, what is brand photography for those that don't know what it is?
Brand photography is photography for another business's brand. So it's something that they're going to use across their marketing. You can get really specific about what kind of marketing photos it's going to be. But for my clients, it's most often used on their website. Their headshots are on their LinkedIn. But it's mostly for like building out a website and their brochures and their advertisements, their sponsored ads, their internal communications even use it. They use it in all kinds of graphics that they put out for their business. But when I shoot for a brand, I ultimately think about how could I flesh out an entire library of images that describe everything that they do in the
Mm.
best light that would show their clients or customers or their audience what they do without words. That's what brand photography is.
My next question is, how do you figure out how do you go about showcasing the company or the brand the right way for the client? Does that make sense? Like, what I mean is, do you have a process on figuring out exactly how the client wants to be branded?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I send them out a brand questionnaire when they book or when they're in the process of thinking about booking. I send them a questionnaire that goes through questions like, what other brands do you draw inspiration from in
Mm,
or outside of your industry? So, for example, if I'm working with a hair salon and they admire uh, the work of an esthetician, they can link in their questionnaire so I can browse through, and I really need to see a visual. A lot of people aren't very good at putting words to what we can do, but if I see like a Pinterest board, a mood board, I can get the vibe of what they're going for.
mm,
And through the questionnaire, I have them explain why. Why? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it?
mm,
So just exploring questions like that gets at the heart of what do you want your brand images to say, do? How do you want them to feel? And then those abstract questions um, can be just brought to the next level by seeing their color palette, the kind of whether they want like something punchy and artificial lighting, and they want like pops of colors here and there, or if they want something easy breezy, minimal, like linens and like a one plant swing in the wind. Like, what's your vibe?
yeah.
And so once you get that down, you also need to know where are these photos going. So that's also a questionnaire or a phone call question I ask is, okay, do you have an immediate use for these images? And sometimes they'll say, oh yeah, let me send you the page. And they literally have like the dimensions and everything and the placement of the image. You have all the context you need.
Mm.
Not everyone is so figured out to that point. But you want to at least address their known needs for their brand photos. And then you want to fill in the gaps by saying, tell me everything about your brand. And let's just show that. Let's show everything so you have a wide range of photos that you can just pull from
Hmm.
as things come up.
I got you. That's cool. Do you, how often, what percentage of your clients don't know what they want?
Um, I would say 60,
60%.
60%.
Yeah.
Yeah, more. It never phases me when they don't know what they want.
Yeah. How do you go about guiding them to what they want?
So if they are at absolute zero and they don't know, because I would say most of my clients aren't at absolute zero.
I
If
got
they
you.
were, they're not going to hire a brand photographer.
Got you.
There's some fire under their butt that's like, you need this photo now. And
Got you.
then they're like, well, we should also get a brand shoot for other things, but I don't know what we need. And
Got you.
that's where the 60% of my clients come from, but
Okay.
no one's at absolute zero. So as far as guiding them goes, I get on the phone and I just say like, hey, what do you need? What do you know you need? And then as we start talking, I start to collaborate them and say, okay, well, do you think you could also find a use for this? Or what about that? What if we do this? And they think, oh.
Mm,
So really where the magic happens is through collaboration on these.
I got you.
It's actually better than having a client who's all the way figured out and they hand me a 60 photo shot list where there's no wiggle room. And I'm like, if we bang this out in order, we're going to be over time.
Yeah.
So there's no room for magic to happen.
Um, I'm asking these questions because like your world is totally different. Not
Yeah.
really totally different, but it is a little bit different. Do you have clients that will say, "Hey, Carrie, I just want to give you full creative reign to do whatever you want"?
Yes, but not brand clients like that. I
Oh,
have headshot clients like that,
got you.
which
Okay.
I love to a degree if they have a really specific image in their head and they expect me to by some magic figure out what that is, I'm not on board.
Yeah.
But if they're the kind of free spirit that really truly without insecurities like is an open book for me. I
Yeah.
love designing their session from scratch and guiding them every step of the way and let's try this and that. And really they get the most versatile largest gallery because I'm in my zone. I
Yeah.
can create that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you get a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
stunted by very precise instructions
Yeah.
because you can never get into your own mind. You're too busy in theirs.
Yeah, it's almost like when there's a lot of restraints, I guess you could say, is where I lose my, I want to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I really enjoy that space. Well, when it comes to videography, I enjoy the space of, hey, just create something,
Mhm.
you know? And I find that's really where your worth can really be, is your ability to just create something for someone. Like I've done a lot of videos, and I know this episode isn't about me, it's
No,
about
it
you,
should
but
be.
I've done a lot of videos where I've shot something for someone and I don't know, just I have a different inspiration when it comes to music and putting the video to music
Mhm.
and then like, wow, where can I take this? I can take this all the way over here on an emotional level. And I find that that's where my value is.
Mhm.
It's being able to create something that can emotionally grab someone's attention and just create something from nothing. Like, wow, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I've had a shoot. There's a good friend of mine that we shot some workforce hot sauce, and we had ideas on what we were going to capture. But when you get it and you bring it in post and then you really get to like craft something from nothing,
Mhm.
it's special. It's really special. It's really special.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love what you created with that.
Yeah. It's a great feeling. Would you say that how has seeing the value that your photos provide for your clients, what does that do for you as a photographer? Or how
Mm.
has that impacted you as a photographer?
Oh, I love it. There's no better feeling than post photo shoot stalking your client to find that they made their photo, their LinkedIn profile picture,
Yeah.
and that they've updated their website and that they've pulled colors from the photos and they design their text around the image, or you see your photo in a magazine spread
Yeah.
and they've just made it front and center and everything is just balanced off of it, and you can tell that they were inspired by your work too.
Mm.
And there's just no better feeling than seeing someone really use their images well. Um, what that does for me is it makes me feel like what I'm doing is important, it's purposeful, it's aligned, it's really making a difference, and it answers a call. And it's a need that was out there and that I filled it. And that feels good. I want to see my work out there
Yeah.
and used and really fully taken advantage of.
If you can like nail it down or think of one specific time, what has been the most rewarding experience you've had being a photographer?
Oh, oh gosh. Yeah, I don't know. Like in what capacity?
Like I recently shot a wedding for someone, and when they watched it, when after they watched it, they were like, wow, this brought everyone in my family to tears. You
Um,
know what I mean?
yeah,
And it's like, wow, I did that. You know what I mean? Have you
yeah.
had moments like that where like you've taken photos for someone and they've just been like, Carrie, oh my goodness, you changed my life or something like that?
Yes,
Like, you know,
yeah.
have you had scenarios like that?
I have,
Yeah,
but to a lesser degree because um, brand photography and headshots are a little less personal than somebody's wedding.
I got you.
Um, but I think probably the most rewarding feeling ever
Yeah,
as a photographer is when I show someone a photo of themselves and they cannot wipe the grin off their face.
yeah,
They say, "Is that me?" And honestly, it makes me emotional
yeah,
because
yeah.
if you can, there's so many things in the world that destroy our self-image.
So true.
Gosh, if we see a bad photo of ourselves
Yeah,
or a
yeah, yeah,
bad
yeah.
clip, I'm sure you see it all the time.
Yes,
Like
yes,
people
yes,
see
yes.
themselves on camera and they're like,
Yeah, yeah, no, that's
don't post that.
yeah.
So we see that a lot and it really brings us down, right?
It does.
Because what we see is totally different. We see beauty, we see
Yeah,
composition, we see lighting,
yeah,
and we also see their true character and their authenticity come through. And those are our favorite shots.
yeah.
But what they see is insecurities so
Mm,
often. And so my absolute favorite moments ever as a
mm,
photographer are those moments that happen thankfully very frequently where a client looks at the photo of themselves and they're changed forever in a very good way.
yeah,
And they say, I've been too hard on myself.
yeah,
Um, and I actually make that a goal of mine any headshot session where they come out the gate with, as a rule, don't shoot the left side of my face. I'm like, first of all, that cuts the gallery in half
yeah,
because that's half of your face.
yeah,
But second of all, I'm thinking, and I don't ask this, I want to, part of me wants to, but I don't want to put them in that bad place when we're trying to be uplifting. But a part of me wants to ask them, why? Where did you hear that? What story is behind that insecurity of the left side of your face? Who told you you were not beautiful?
mm,
And I make it my goal, and I set the expectation at the beginning when I hear something like this: is you might change your mind.
I love
It's
that.
like, I'm not holding you to it.
Yeah,
Let's take a few photos of the left side of your face and plenty of your right side.
yeah,
I'm going to make sure you have photos you love, and I won't post any. This is for you.
yeah,
You may pick one of the left side of your face. So I already set the precedent that they can expect to maybe have their mind changed. And by the end of the session, I kind of check back in by showing them the photos. I don't say, "What do you think now?" Like,
yeah,
we look through the photos together and they see the left side of their face in a photo. And it's like, and they say, "I can't believe it, but I love that." And I'm like, I did it. Like, check. That's
that's
another
dope.
one.
Yeah,
That's my favorite thing ever. If
yeah,
I can have someone fall in love with their
mm,
image and at the end of the day become more neutral to it. Don't be so sensitive to your image and let yourself shine through. That's the difference that I want to make
yeah.
with every single client. So anytime I do, that just reignites the fire.
No, I got you. Um, you care about what you do. You love your job. You love your work, and you love people.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows, yo. It really does show. And speaking of people, um, I know over the years we didn't really dive too deep into all the facets of everything that you've done and your whole
Yeah.
like entourage of things because you've been very successful in your career as a photographer. How has that success and the busyness of photography impacted like the balance between work and home?
Mm. Um,
And and is it still a tough balance for you?
Uh, it's it's the hardest part of being an entrepreneur. It's the hardest part of owning your own business is when do you set a boundary between your personal life, your personal time that you should devote to your family,
Yeah.
and when do you hang up the phone with clients? When do you stop replying to emails? And sometimes those boundaries just have to remain a gray area.
Mm,
So it is a struggle today, and it was always a struggle,
yeah.
but it is becoming less and less challenging. I'm becoming clearer and clearer on what's important and how fleeting time is with your family. And why are we doing any of this anyway? right? I mean, there's the one aspect of, yes, it's fulfilling. It's joy. I'm channeling who I'm meant to be when I do this work.
Yeah.
But there's also the coin of, okay, why are you getting paid for that? For your family. Why are we doing this as a business
Yeah.
if we can't enjoy time with our family? And
Mm.
so early on, I overspent myself. Year after year, I wasn't showing up for my family like I was showing up for my clients. And so that there were years in a row, like at least 3 years in a row, where January 1st hits and people are like, what's your New Year's resolution? And it was to restore balance, to have work-life balance.
Yeah.
And I can finally say that's not my New Year's resolution
That's
anymore. Like
awesome.
I'm good with that. Like my
Yeah.
family does come first. I schedule out all my kids' like class parties, their field trips. Like I'm there. I schedule out
Mm.
free time every week. Like I at least have 2 free quote unquote days, because we know things come up,
Yeah.
where they can be sick. We can just live life and let families' challenges not destroy my business,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
That's the fear, right? Is like,
Yeah.
how do we not have these two things clash? How do I have time for both? You just have to schedule a lot of extra time, and you
Mm.
really have to value your time differently. Um, I'm finally at a point where I feel like I have good balance there. Is it perfect? No. It's always something that should be improved on. And
Yeah.
if you don't always actively make that one of your priorities, your business is just going to keep seeping back into and across your boundaries into your family time. So it's something that always has to be like a purposeful, like you have to be intentional about keeping those boundaries protected.
Yeah. You said schedule
Hmm.
a lot there.
Yeah.
At what point in your career did you realize the importance of that, and how did that benefit your career?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, I would say a couple years back is when I really sat down with my Google Calendar, and things were all over the place, different colors, but there was a lot of time in between them. And I thought, well, how do I have so much downtime but I can't breathe? Like,
Mm.
why am I always treading water and never ahead to look at the horizon and pick a direction? I felt like I was just being taken along for a ride with my schedule. My clients had open access through online scheduling, which saves front end time. You have it automated and everything, but I had my calendar too open. And I decided I'm going to take control of my own schedule, and I picked days of the week, and I made it alternated. So there's a week A and a week B, and A week looks like a location day, a flex day, uh, a studio day, and then a free day, and then you just kind of scramble that up for the next week. It's a little different that way. Clients who are like, I can only do Tuesdays, then it's like, well, sorry, I only do Thursdays. That wouldn't work either. But if you alternate it but still have a set day each week, I can look a year ahead and tell you if I'll be in the studio that day.
Mm.
So your clients have the freedom to pick the day they want. Relatively, they can pick like a Tuesday or a Thursday. And at the same time, I have the freedom on my end to know which days I definitely have off, which days I definitely want to schedule clients and whatnot. So don't let your clients make your schedule. Like, just preempt their needs by making the template and they fill it in. Like, don't let them decide for you what your schedule is going to be. Why are we our own boss, right? For this, you make your own schedule,
Yeah,
so make
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
So literally write it out in Google Calendar, set up your online automated systems, and make it so that no one can book you on your Friday family fun day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It is like the key, I think, to getting to the next level in your business. If you haven't like put together a schedule, I got a good friend. He is extremely successful. And I was on the phone with him and I asked him, hey, how have you been able to reach the level of success that you're at? And he was like, man, Jason, every night before I go to bed, I know what I'm going to do the next day. I know exactly how much time I have allotted to it, and I manage my minutes.
Mhm.
This phone conversation I'm having with you now was scheduled,
Yep.
and I know how long I'm going to be on the phone with you. And I know when I get off the phone with you, I know what's next.
Yeah.
Like, I manage my minutes. And after speaking to him and him telling me that, it was like, wow, like that's real. You have to, like you said, prioritize certain things, and you have to set a structure that balances your life, you know?
Yeah.
And I really think like you hit the nail on the head. Once you are able to do that, it really aligns your life, business, family, whatever else, days off, sick
Yes.
days, sick time. It's definitely a key. Uh,
So is
man,
that what you do? Do you
yes,
schedule everything out too?
yes. I schedule everything out ahead of time. Not only do I schedule it out ahead of time, but I include like my wife. I
Mhm.
copy her on everything. So what's on my Google Calendar,
Yes.
like she CC'd, it's on her calendar, so she knows, so that we're in alignment. When she has something, she CC's me. It fills up my calendar. That way, my girls' basketball
Mhm.
games, practice, like we have our own family
Oh, yeah.
schedule. Like 7 a.m., my daughters know to do this.
Yeah.
7:05, they do this. Like we have a set schedule, and they're homeschooled too. So like once they get done with school, dad has basketball practice
Wow.
with them from this time to this time. So every Wednesday we have family meetings at this time where everybody gets to talk about life. How did the past week go? How did I hurt your feelings? Or hey dad, you said this and I wish you would have listened to me
Mm.
more. Like, you know, like really intentionally setting time to even hear how you made someone else feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like growing up for me, I know this is kind of left, but growing up for me, I found that I didn't have that time to where it's like I could really speak to, man, how someone within my household made me feel,
Mhm.
or I'm sorry that I let you down. But like we actually schedule a time where everybody gets to stand up in front of everybody else and individually speak to each person on something from the previous week, you know, to be heard. It's yo, scheduling is a game
I
changer.
was just gonna say it's game changing.
It really
Yeah.
is, yo. It's
Uh,
life changing.
when did you start doing the family meetings?
Family meetings, we just started that like November,
That's awesome.
and it's just been a blessing. And what took it to get there was like me coming to a place and realizing like just being swamped in my business and swamped with family
Mhm.
things like, yo, I have to make a change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not only with like just business and family time, but even a change in understanding how like my kids feel,
Yeah.
like giving everyone a chance to speak, to be heard. Like I swear, it's so important. It's so important, and it's been a game changer. And afterwards, we have this big hug session,
Oh.
prayer session, and
Oh.
like it's like yo, we all on the same page again, and we
Yeah.
start the week off as a family again together, like on the same page, forgiving each other, and you know what I mean?
That's
It's
gotta make them feel so much lighter to know, like, my
yes,
dad, my mom, they got me because I'm gonna talk to them on Wednesday,
yeah,
and it kind of like it doesn't give it time. It doesn't make time for things to be swept under the rug, like,
yeah,
it's always cleared out like sage every
yes,
Wednesday, just the
yes,
family reset,
yeah.
and I bet you guys are so much closer for it.
Yo, it's been a blessing. It really has. And we've made a rule, like an open door policy, where if something happens and we need to have a family meeting, everything stops.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, as long as I'm around, right?
Yeah.
Or whoever's around will have a family meeting. And
Yeah.
it's just important. Scheduling time is
Yeah,
really
just
important.
reminding them that they're a
You
number one,
matter,
they
you
come
know,
first in your
really
life.
matter. You always have to question yourself and ask yourself sometimes, like, yo, what is most important?
Mhm.
Who is most important?
Yeah.
And saying no, like I said earlier, sometimes you have to say no
Yes.
to other things just to refocus on what's most important, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually such a good topic. Just saying no. Like, I feel like any successful person has said no um in really big ways where they can look back and said, I said no to this and
Yeah.
it changed my life.
Yeah.
And saying no is really empowering, and it's saying yes to things that are more important, even if you don't know what that is yet.
Yes.
Like if you get an inquiry and it's something that you're just not vibing with, it kind of drains your energy just reading it.
Yes.
And you're like, someone else might be better at this.
Yeah.
Like I've even like begrudgingly just, gone through the motions of writing up the proposal and this
Yeah.
is what it'll be, and like praying they don't come back and say, okay, we'll book it. But it's like, just say
Yeah.
no.
Yo,
Just don't be available for it.
I want to ask you this question.
Yeah.
And this is like, I know we're running deep on time, but I've been in that scenario where I've had an inquiry and I'm not feeling it,
Mhm.
right? And how have you in the past kind of navigated that without receiving a bad review? You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
that's really like one of the biggest things on my mind is
Yeah.
like, man, how do I say no to this person? And with reviews being such a big thing these days,
Yep.
how do I navigate this conversation
Yeah.
in a way that, doesn't the client still feels good about the situation?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
It's
I
a
do.
tricky area.
I've got the answer.
Let
Don't
me hear
worry.
it.
Because okay, when you said that, I like 1000% relate,
Yeah.
because that's that little nagging fear. That's that like devil on our shoulder is like, you're gonna get a bad review. What if they destroy your business?
Yeah.
First of all, if they give you a bad review,
Yeah.
it would be a lie, because you couldn't misbehave if you tried to a client. You're too professional. And same with me. I mean,
Yeah.
unless I'm in a mood, but I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
respond if I'm heated.
Yeah.
But like we just, as professionals, we wouldn't say anything in a way that's hurtful or disrespectful or unprofessional. So that fear alone is a little bit irrational.
Yeah.
If they do
I
leave
guess
a
you're right,
bad
yeah.
review, if they do leave a bad review, it would be a lie.
Mm.
And just knowing that should provide you comfort, that you could come back and respectfully say your truth beneath that. But I haven't had a bad review at this point. It'll come one day, I'm sure, because misunderstandings happen. And I
Yes.
know if I get a bad review, it would be from a misunderstanding. But statistically speaking, I mean, it'll happen at some point.
Yeah.
But as far as how I do my very best to mitigate their experience while I do turn them down and
Yeah.
make sure that their experience with me is a good one, even if it's rejection,
Yeah.
is you give them a referral. Period. Give them a really good referral. And I've referred out so much work that I've created really good friendships that way.
Wow.
They're like, wow, my business changed because of all the business you're sending me.
Yeah.
It's a favor to both people. It's a win to three parties. You're giving a great lead that you don't appreciate, but you know someone who would.
Yeah.
And they are being helped, and you helped them with that. You facilitated them being helped, so you helped them.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
how
right.
could they leave a bad review if you help them?
No, you're so right.
Yeah.
I guess where that fear comes from
Mhm.
is it's really but caring about somebody else.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
I do.
Caring about someone else, caring about their feelings and how they're going to respond,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. But referring them to someone else that's definitely the play. That's most
Yeah.
definitely the play. Just as a tip, what would you say that conversation looks like? Let's say I was a client. I'm like, hey, Carrie, man, you do the best brand photos ever, and I really want to book you. I have a budget of $250.
Okay, so that I was gonna say, what's the reason I can't work with them?
Yes,
And if
yes.
it's that budget's not quite there,
Yeah.
I would say that. I would say, well, my packages start at $1,800, and you would be in great hands with photographers A, B, or C. I know they'll take care of you. But hey, actually, in that case, if the budget is too low, you don't want to refer them to someone who's also profitable.
Yeah.
But in that case, if the budget is too low, I would say, let me check with my with let me check with my colleagues.
Yeah.
And you go post in a local Facebook group, here's the lead. And you don't give them their contact information. You just give them what you do know, their budget, the date, and what job it is. And you see who's interested. You go through and you pick the best 3 portfolios you see. So they already know the price. You're not blindsiding them with a quote unquote bad referral. But it's someone who's already agreed to that low amount. And then you send that to your client cheerfully, because that's all you can do.
Yeah. No, I agree. I totally agree. So I guess this will be one of my last questions for this episode, is seeing the success that you've attained and being where you are now from where you started. What is next for Carrie Allen Photography?
I would have to just see what doors come in front of my face, and
I got you.
I'm gonna open them. I mean, that's the exciting thing, is I don't know how. I don't know what my world is gonna look like next year or the year after that. I have a vague idea. I mean, I have a lease that I'm still in for my studio, so I'm still gonna be running a studio. I have clients booking constantly. I'm still gonna be doing that. But I don't know. I don't know what else is in store.
How about an assistant?
Actually, I kind of have started to go that way.
Dope.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say assistant. I don't think that's in the cards for me right now, because I'm just working like this. I'm in my own flow as a solo show.
Gotcha.
But and if I let someone else into my world, there's only so much they can help me, because everything is creativity is infused in every little part of the process. And I'm not ready to pass off that hat to just anyone yet. But I do collaborate with associate photographers. So I'll associate shoot with other people and they'll associate shoot with me. And for listeners who don't know, that just means that under my business, and my business's communications with the client, as a primary shooter, as a person that they're on the contract with, that I have another photographer that I trust and have worked with come associate shoot for me when I'm not able to actually physically be there at that scheduled time. So I'll do all the prep work, and I will facilitate any little communication between them and make sure that the photos that I deliver are representative of my work, even though they were shot by someone else. So associate shooting is awesome. It's a great way to grow your business, and I have started to do that. Yeah, I'll be going to Orlando this weekend to associate shoot for someone else. So very excited.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Well, Carrie, if you could let the people know where they can find you, how they can find you, and contact you for your services.
You can find me on Instagram. That's the best way to kind of see the ins and outs behind the scenes. I'm at Carrie Allen LLC. I don't really post to my feed because social media and me just don't get along. It's not very healthy habit for me, even professionally. I just don't enjoy it. So you'll see my true self in my stories. And I would love for you guys to reach out and say hi in my DMs or whatever, or if you have questions that way, or you can email me. You can find that from my website, carrieallen.com.
Cool.
That's a good way to keep in touch. Just go to my website and you can see all the ways to contact me there.
Dope. And guys, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this episode of the Good Look Podcast, and be sure to check out Carrie's information in the description below. You can check out her Instagram channel as well as her website. It'll be linked in the description below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Carrie, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Peace.